when the sixth Imam has gathered people in his own house to engage in mourning for the massacre of Karbala, he tells them to engage in this mourning the way they would do it if they lost one of their loved ones. What does this indicate to us? This indicates to us that the details of mourning for the Imam are not something that is unflexible. It's not something that is set in stone. It's something that has to do with the culture, the norms, the era and time that you come from. Take a look at this narration from the sixth Imam, Al-Imam As-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Abu Harun al-Makfuf, he says, I came to the sixth Imam. The sixth Imam told me, Ya Aba Harun, unshudni fil Hussain. Recite for me poetry for Imam al-Hussain. قال فأنشدته. So I recited poetry for him. فبكى, and he cried. فقال أنشدني كما تنشدون. He said, after I recited the beginning of the poetry, he said, no, I want you to recite the way you guys recite. When you all lose a loved one and people come to mourn that loved one, how do you do it in your culture? And it's clear from the narration that the reciter was trying to hold back a little bit because he didn't want to go into all the details and he didn't want to bring so much pain to the heart of the sixth Imam. The sixth Imam told him, no, recite the way you all recite. يعني الرقة. يعني recite in full emotions. قال فأنشدته. So I recited أمرر على جسد الحسين فقل لأعظمه الزكية. I recited this line as a beginning of the line of the poetry, and then the Imam spoke about the reward of the one who, when he recites poetry, what reward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for him because he recited poetry for the third Imam. So our scholars understood from the narrations that the form of the aza has to do with your culture, your time, and your place. And this is where the Arbaeen walk comes into the play. Why? Because the Arbaeen walk in its present form, which is glorious, which is very beautiful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to be a part of this walk one day, inshallah. And if you have already, again, inshallah. In its present form is not something that was present during the times of the Ahlul Bayt. And it certainly was not present even after that. Yes, we have narrations from the Ahlul Bayt who told us to mourn the Imam. There is, of course, emphasis on ziyarah during the 40th. There is emphasis on walking towards the shrine of the Imam in the narrations. So this is certainly in line with the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. And this is why you find millions, brothers and sisters, utilize this particular form of aza, this particular form of commemoration to show their love and affection to the Ahlul Bayt. And in all of this, there's 2 points I want to mention as we bring this first khutbah to an end. The first of those points is this, brothers and sisters, that when we utilize culture to mourn the Ahlul Bayt, or anytime we utilize culture for the sake of Islam, we have to be thoughtful about how it is perceived. This is why the Arbaeen walk is so beautiful. Because anybody who looks at the Arbaeen walk, what perception do they walk away with? It's very difficult to walk away looking at the Arbaeen walk with a negative perception. No. You would look at that, you would see love, you would see affection, you would see millions of people coming to serve millions of others who have come to visit the grandson of the Messenger of Allah. This form is a beautiful form. If the Ahlul Bayt taught us that you utilize your culture and your era and your time to mourn the Ahlul Bayt, they also taught us to be thoughtful about how that particular form is perceived. And this is a reminder for all of us living in this part of the world, that anytime we utilize culture to remember the Ahlul Bayt, we have to be thoughtful about how it's perceived. Not every form of aza that is perceived in a positive way in other parts of the world are perceived in a positive way in this part of the world. This is that Shia identity that you and I have to build in this part of the world. That's an identity that has to grow in an organic way on its own. It is not something that we can take and copy paste from other parts of the world. And the reason why I say this is because today, certain practices, if you were to not engage in them because they are perceived in a negative way, you will find people who will object. How dare you not engage in this particular form of aza? Well, this is a form of aza that was not specifically recommended by the Ahlul Bayt, number one. And number two, it's not perceived in a positive way. I will choose a form of aza that is perceived in a positive way, such that when someone sees it, at the very least, they don't have a negative reaction. At the very least. So this is a question and something our younger generation has to pay attention to. This is that identity of the Shia in the West that needs to develop in an organic way. It's not something we can copy-paste from other parts of the world. And the reason for this is because if you go also to those other parts of the world, you will see that they also did not copy-paste it from earlier places. The aza of the Imam, for example, is happening first and foremost where? Predominantly in Medina. This is happening in an Arab culture at the very, very beginning, the time of the 5th Imam, during the time of the 6th Imam. It's happening in an Arab culture. So my question for you is this. When the Shia were commemorating the Imam, now in Qum, in other parts, in Kufa, in Khurasan, were they sitting there and say, let us see how the Imam is mourned in Medina, let's do it exactly that same way? No. Even those forms of mourning and commemoration that today many of our own family members engage in back home, even the way they engaged in it was not a copy-paste from other parts of the world. They looked at their own culture, they looked at their own time, their own era, how does their heart connect with this? And they engaged with it. And you and I in this part of the world have to do the same. And this is the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, that when we engage in a form of aza, we do so in such a way that when people see it, they see it in a positive way. And I'm not going to go into detail here, but all I will say is, brothers and sisters, if a form of aza is seen in a public manner, if a form of aza goes viral, this doesn't necessarily mean it gives a positive impression to people when it comes to the Ahlul Bayt.